Hello again, you sick, twisted weather freaks, and welcome to another fun filled, action packed, and intellectually stimulating edition of This Week in Weather. I'm your host and meteorologist DT from Weatherist.com, the colonel of confusion, the captain of catastrophe, the commander of chaos. Let's talk about this week in weather. Well, lots of topics here, kind of a change, return of winter, actually, believe it or not. The Greenland block is finally showed up, and we're getting a negative NAO and what it means for the winter. There is a possible significant Ohio Valley, Middle Atlantic, and Southern New England snowstorm. That stands for SEX, which is significant East Coast snowstorm, March 12th through the 13th, which is, of course, a significant date in the 1993 analog. Now, this storm is not going to be like that, but it did look significant. Any snow in March, I think, more than a couple of inches is significant. Of course, there's still a lot which can go wrong here, so you have to talk about that. And then also the tremendous buildup of contrast between warm air and cold air. All right, let's take a look. See, here's the cold front coming through here on Monday night, Tuesday morning, moving through the Midwest. The high pressure is off the coast. You can see the warm air coming up from the Gulf, so temperatures are going to warm up significantly after the cold weekend. So that's a bit of a nice news here. You can see the warming like this, and there's your cold front. Enormous low right here. You can see this system here. Now that's going to move up into eastern Canada, and that's what's going to help bring about the big block over Greenland. So that's an important feature in its own right. And now that here's the cold front coming in Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. Rain up and down the east coast, a lot of cold air coming in behind it. You can see finally some winter-like cold in March, believe it or not. This is, minus 5, 850. This is minus 10 here. This is minus 15. Here's minus 20, all plunging southward on the cold air, which is not good for the agricultural concerns in the Midwest. A lot of stuff has already started coming up. And when the cold air gets into the East Coast, the Mid-Atlantic, it's not going to be good for some agricultural concerns in the Mid-Atlantic either. All right, here's the cold front coming through on Friday, March 10th. You can see the lows off the coast. The front is stalled over the middle Atlantic region and then bisecting the lower Midwest and the upper plains. You can see the really cold air with the large 1036 high pressure systems coming down from Canada. Look at this baby right there. There's another one up in here, 1040 here. So a lot of cold air. Now, south of the front, it's still amazingly warm in all this area. So very interesting temperature contrast developing here. Now, this here's the European model from early Monday morning, and you can see the low pressure area. Let me draw it in case you can't see it. Right here, low pressure area. See right there over Tennessee. Now, the cold front is running like this, right across the region. Here's our area of high pressure. I draw it in so you can see it right there. You see it? And there's another Arctic high coming down this way. And look at all the purple stuff coming out of Canada. Finally, for the first time in weeks, look at all this really cold stuff in here. I mean, this is impressive stuff, all cold air, and it's trying to press southward. Now, the issue is the timing. How much cold air gets into Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Delaware before the low pressure area arrives? Obviously, the further north you are, the colder you'll be, the better chances of snow. So this is something to watch carefully. Now, this is a little different from what the European model was showing a few days ago when it had a big storm on the coast. For one thing, that model, one of the European, while impressive, actually had rain on the coastal areas from Norfolk to Boston and snow inland. This is a little different. And also that makes more sense given the overall pattern. All right, let's take a look at this in more detail. Here's the cold front coming in on Friday night, Saturday morning. And you can see there's our 32-degree line right here. And there's the 0850 line, which is the rain snow line. So the cold air is coming south, no doubt about that. And then the next map, here's the system now on the coast. You can see a very significant area of low pressure, fairly well to the south over the Carolinas, like this. There you go. And then you can see the rain snow line coming right through Virginia, southern Virginia. A lot of snow to the north over Kentucky, West Virginia, central and northern Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, southern Pennsylvania. Let's take a look in more detail. The next map here. Here it's coming in Saturday night. This is at 7 p.m. Now the purple line represents the snow line 1 mile above the ground, and then the 32-degree line, that's actual temperatures on the ground. So notice all the heavy snow over central and southern Indiana, into Illinois, western and central Ohio, and of course south of the line. This is all, of course, rain down in here. This is all rain where it's too. The cold front has not got that far south yet. So here's the snow coming in. It's coming in this direction. Richmond in central Virginia is going to be right on the edge. Not a surprise for March, it often is. And here it is Sunday morning. Boom! All right, there's your low pressure area. By the way, boom is not a technical meteorological term. I just thought I'd point that out to you. There's the low pressure area on the southeast Carolina coast. There's your snow line right there. We got mix over Richmond, eastern Virginia, south of Lynchburg, and then from Lynchburg, Roanoke is all snow. Charlottesville, the Piedmont's getting pounded. The Shenandoah Valley's getting hammered. All of eastern Virginia's getting hammered. And it's the snow goes up into Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and then southern New Jersey, southwestern Pennsylvania. This is a significant mid-March snowstorm. There's no doubt about it. So it potentially is a big deal. And here's the European snow map from Euroweather for early Sunday morning. Again, with the correct not enhanced snow algorithms. Notice West Virginia is getting really slammed here. But again, 4 inches of snow just north of Richmond, up to 10 inches, 12 inches in portions of Baltimore, Maryland, southern Jersey. This is a decent snowstorm. And even in Indiana and central Illinois. Now, interestingly enough, the European ensembles are just as far to the east and south as the low pressure area. If anything, it's a little further south and east. So this is valid here for Sunday afternoon. You can see lows off the coast. It looks pretty cold. The European ensemble shows a nice area of snow of 2 to 4 or 5 inches. Again, this is a mean of a lot of different solutions. So some, individual models are going to be heavier snow and some are going to be lighter. But again, given this is a week out, this is a signal for decent snow potential for the Mid-Atlantic region. Now here's the European ensemble, the individual model runs. Remember, the European ensemble consists of 50 different model runs. And we can see that some of them are pretty significant. Now, for example, this model run here, notice all the snow is over northern New England, New York State. Here the snow is down in North Carolina. And this is a complete miss for most of everybody here. But you can see this is a significant snow for Virginia. This one in West Virginia, Virginia. That's Pennsylvania, Northern Virginia, Maryland. That's a significant snow. Here's a good one here. This is a nice Mid-Atlantic snow. Another nice Mid-Atlantic snow. And so this is a very big one here. There's a big one for Southern Virginia. So, for all different sorts of possibilities here. And of course, here's the second half of the ensemble. And again, some of them are really impressive. You can see for the SOS thing, look at this baby and this one and this humongous snowstorm. Wow. And look at this one. I mean, there's some stuff to salivate over if you're a snow lover. But, there's also misses. Look at this. Nothing, nothing, nothing. So it's really up in the air here, folks. It looks to me like there's going to be a decent snow, but it's not at all certain. All right. What could go wrong? Now, having a strong negative NAO, a lot of the weather boards are talking about this, a lot of meteorologists are talking about this, and that's fine. That's all good and true. Having a strong negative NAO, a Greenland block, hey, I'm all for it. The more the merrier. But there's way too much focus here on Canada and Greenland and not enough on the Eastern Pacific. I've been saying this for all winter long. Having an omega ridge blocking pattern over Alaska and the Bering Sea is the kiss of death for East Coast snowstorms. Now we have one with this pattern here. So the key to this is the trough, the upper low, which is on the eastern side of the Omega Block in southwest Canada. That feature has got to break apart. It splits into two features, and it does so. It allows a ridge to form over the west coast, and that allows the low pressure area March 10-11 to go to the south. If the upper level low, and you'll see this in a second, over the Omega Ridge in southwest Canada does not split apart, this storm ain't happening. Not the way the models are showing. Let me show you. Now, this is the European model for Sunday afternoon. You can see it had a light area of low pressure, moderate intensity over North Carolina, and it had decent snow over North Carolina and southern Virginia. But the issue here's the European model. This is the one for early this morning, Sunday morning. Now, let me show you the feature I'm talking about. This here is your Omega Ridge. You can see it very nicely, shaped like the letter Omega. Okay, but then this is the upper low here. Okay, now this keeps the ridge over the west coast flat, and this is known as this is the Eastern Pacific Oscillation. Of course, having that upper low there is a positive EPO, which you do not want to see. And what that does is that means there's no ridge here, so any area of low pressure just goes like this over to New England and out to sea. It doesn't do anything. So, but look what happens. That's 84 hours. That's Thursday morning. Now look at this one. You see how it splits? Okay, there's the feature here. Let me highlight, you can see it. See how it splits? Okay, and because it does this and splits and it moves this direction, we get a bit of a ridge here. Now this energy starts going southeast and we get a phase and we get a big storm on the East Coast. But it's got to do that. If it doesn't do that, this whole situation is going into the crapper. And there's going to be a lot of disappointed fans. Now, here's the fabulous Canadian model. And we can see look at the Arctic high here, 1040. Wow, another one here, 1033. Now the Canadian really drives the Arctic front southward. I mean, wow, that's much further south than any other model. This is valid for early morning on the 7th. I mean, early morning on Sunday, the 12th. And then, of course, you can see the low pressure area developing. It's got moderate to heavy snow in Virginia, southern Maryland, and Delaware. And then it goes bonkers. It also has a second storm, which hits New England on March 15th. I'm not going to worry about that one just yet. And of course, this is the Canadian model showing the major snowstorm. It's got 6 to 12 inches of snow from Richmond to Norfolk into Elizabeth City, North Carolina. So again, that's because it's really far to the south. All right, and now this here is the GFS model. Now the GFS model does not have that solution. Let's take a look, see why. You remember how the European had split the feature apart? This feature is still here. It has not split apart into we don't see a feature out here that doesn't have one. So as a result, this short wave doesn't get a chance to dig, and it goes straight across, and you end up with a much more northern type of snowstorm, and we can see that here. Again, look, 168 hours, that feature is still over southwest Canada. It has not split. And here is the Canadian. This is the GFS from last night. You can see the lows over Virginia. The rain snow line, look where it is. The blue line here, that's the rain snow line, is north of the Pennsylvania Maryland border. I mean, it's a nice snowstorm for central and northern Pennsylvania, northern New York State, maybe northern New Jersey, New York State, New York City, Connecticut, New England. But for the Mid Atlantic, this is a rainstorm. That's all there is to it. And it's because it mishandles what's going on in southwest Canada. Now, this is the updated 6Z version of the GFS from this morning. Notice it's a little colder, has a lot more snow over the Midwest. Yeehaw. Okay, the cold air is over the Mid-Atlantic states. And now it transfers the low. One low dies over southwest Virginia. A new low forms east of Elizabeth City, North Carolina. And we have heavy snow over northern Virginia. D.C., according to the 6Z GFS, your snow drought comes to an end next Sunday. Saturday night, Sunday. Same with Baltimore, same with Philly. For Richmond, it's snow going to ice, going to rain because the system is too far to the north. If it were to come further south, like the European, Richmond would be back into it. We just don't know at this point where this system is going to go. Here's the GFS moving off the coast, bringing snow to, again, D.C. up to Boston. Now, the GFS ensemble is a little further south, so that maybe is a trend towards the European solution. Now, this here is the European model extended. This is out to day 10, March 15th. Massive trough comes in, very cold air here. Maybe another wave of low pressure on the coast. And then you can see the cold front at the surface coming through and more Arctic air coming in behind it. So March is looking really cold east of the Rockies. Finally, of course, it's March. All it makes is for a cold month. I'm not sure how much snow we're going to get out of it, but at least we got possibilities here. And maybe we'll finish the winter up with a bang or two. Maybe. So we'll watch it carefully, and let's watch that Pacific, folks, over the southwestern Canada and the eastern Pacific. That feature has got to split in two. If it does, we got possibilities next weekend. If it doesn't, it's not going to be much of anything. This is meteorologist DT for weatherist.com. I'll see you on the website and on the Facebook page.